Hi, my name is Mike Harding. I'm a product engineer for the Assault AirBike. This is the bike that I have at home. Today I'm going to go over some maintenance tips, some routine maintenance that'll help keep your guys' bikes running smoothly and safely. Here's some tools and cleaners that you're going to need. The torque wrench and the crank puller from Park Tool are available at your local bike shop. And here's a table showing the schedule and the routine maintenance steps that are going to be performed. The first thing that you want to do, make sure you do for the bike, is to clean it well. When people are on these, you guys are doing some hard intervals on them, and you guys are sweating really hard. Sweat comes down on the bike and sits on the bike. It's going to end up causing some corrosion. So pretty much every day you want to make sure that the bikes get wiped down. The main areas that you guys want to look at for cleaning the bike is the places where sweat is going to pool. And it's basically right below the user and then anywhere down on the bottom of the frame. So the cleaner that we like to recommend is a diluted version of the cleaner Simple Green. Another real common area for sweat to find a sort of a hiding place is on the seat tube, and then wipe down on the inside here. So two main areas on maintenance of the bike. One is keeping it clean and keeping it clear of human sweat. The other thing is that you guys are using the bikes in a real high intensity, kind of a interval type workout, and that puts a lot of stress on the bike frame, moving parts, and drivetrain. So the second part of the maintenance is that we want to go through the bike and make sure that any of the linkage points or the fasteners are all staying nice and snug. Once some of the parts are allowed to get loose, specifically the cranks and pedals, if you allow those parts to get loose, then they're going to quickly wear out and those parts will have to be replaced rather than just tightened. Okay, so checking the bike for just general operation. I just called the pedal test, just sit on the bike and pedal away. You want to be aware of basically that the drivetrain is operating smoothly and fairly quietly. Obviously the bike is on the loud side because of the fan that's pumping the air, but you want to be aware for any unnatural noises, any clunking or squeaking or squealing or something that might indicate something's wrong. So one other thing you want to look at while you're pedaling the bike is just to check to see that you're getting a steady RPM signal on the console. If you are not seeing a signal, then you're going to want to look to make sure that the speed sensor is located so that it's coming close to the magnet that is mounted on the fan. Okay, so this one sounds pretty good. The other thing you want to do on the bike is sort of push back and forth on the handlebars. And you might feel just a little bit of a looseness, and that's normal. But if you feel a lot of looseness in the handlebars, then there's something usually in the drivetrain that's going to be a little bit loose and needs to be tightened. You can also do that by moving the crank arms back and forth a little bit. Same thing. You shouldn't really feel any looseness there. So now if you do feel any looseness in the drivetrain, the thing that you're going to want to check is the chain tension first off. So let's go down and take a look at that. Checking the chain tension is not necessary to remove the chain guard, but I'm just going to do it so that everybody can see a little bit more clearly. One note of caution also is that this is a direct drive system. So if you get your fingers in this area or this area, they can get pulled in, which you don't want to happen, obviously. When you're working on the bikes and you have your fingers down near the chain, make sure that nobody else comes up to start pushing on the handlebars or something. The way you tension the chain on this bike is first you're going to set the tension on the first stage here, okay? And then when this is set, then you're going to set the tension on the second stage up here. Okay, we're taking a look at the chain tension now. If the chain is coming up by more than one thickness of the chain, basically, then it's this is a little bit on the loose side. So to tension the chain, first you want to loosen this 15 millimeter Okay, loosen this up. You loosen this to allow the chain to be tensioned. The 10mm nut here is what's actually going to control the tension in the chain. So to tension the chain, we're gonna want to tighten this one. And you can put your finger here and you can feel it getting tighter. And that's just about right. That's just about how you want it, just a little bit of movement. If you do over tension the chain, then it's going to put more stress into the chain. Chain's going to wear out, and so will the chain wheels. So once you have the chain at the proper tension, now we're going to tighten up the 15mm nut. Now we're going to take a look at the second stage chain. Okay. So moving this one up and down, the amount that the second stage is going to move, the chain's going to move, is quite a bit more than the first stage, because there's a longer span. This is just a little bit on the loose side. Okay, so we're going to tighten that up. I'm going to start with the 15mm wrench here. Loosen this main nut first. The 10mm bolt here is what's going to actually put tension in the chain. So you can just put your 10mm wrench in there. And I'm just going to move it about 2 turns and then check it. Just a little bit more. Okay, that's basically the tension that you want. So now we want to go ahead and tighten up the 15mm bolt. We want to really make sure that we get this 15mm bolt snug. If it's not quite tight, then that's going to allow the chain to move back a little bit and loosen up a little bit. Okay, now we're going to take a look at how to lubricate the chain. Here are some chain lubricants that we recommend. They're available at your local bike shop. The best is to use a can that has a straw on it. And what you're going to do is stick the straw down through the fan cage like that, and then just give it a little bit while you're pedaling. That should be enough. Then once you have some lubricant on the chain, you want to go ahead and keep on pedaling it for a little bit. That'll help the lubricant work its way into the inner parts of the chain where you need it. Okay, after we lubricate the chain on the second stage, we're going to go back and lubricate the chain on the first stage. All right, one of the real critical areas on this bike is to make sure that the crank and the bell crank bolts stay tight. If these parts are allowed to loosen up at all, they'll quickly wear out and they need to be replaced. On the crank bolt and the bell crank bolt, want to use Loctite 262. For the tightening torque on the crank bolt and the bell crank bolt, we want to tighten those to a reading of 50 Newton meters. You can get a torque wrench from your local bike shop. Generally the pedals will stay pretty tight, but if you do start to feel, when you do the pedal test, if you feel a little bit of clunking, that might be because the pedal is coming loose. The one little trick on this bike is that the pedals, the right hand side is a regular right hand thread, where the left hand side is a left hand thread. So easy guideline to remember that for tightening the pedals, if you have the wrench on the pedal, okay, 15mm wrench, okay, to tighten the pedal, you're always going to move the wrench toward the front of the frame. To loosen the pedal, you're going to move the wrench toward the back of the frame. And the pedals don't need to be overly tightened. Okay, another super important part on this bike to make sure it stays tight, and it does take a lot of abuse, is this nut, the main nut that's holding the handlebar onto the frame. Okay, it was part of the initial installation that you guys did when you put the bike together. It's 22mm nut, so you can use an adjustable wrench. You want to try to keep these both pretty darn snug. All right, now we're going to look at the connection between the linkage arm and the handlebar. And there is a ball bearing in this area, but we want to use a 6mm Allen wrench and a 13mm wrench for the nut that's on the back side. Okay. So again, we're just checking to make sure that this is tight. Okay, we're Getting down to the wire here, just the last couple things while you're down here. Just double check these fasteners holding the front and rear stabilizers, that those are still snug and tight. And then these two fasteners up here that hold on the console mast. Okay, now we're going to check the seat adjustment. Basically, we're going to look at this, the 13mm bolt that secures the seat. If that, just want to make sure that that connection is tight enough so that the seat won't be able to rock from side to side. Thanks very much for taking the time to watch this video. And just wanted to reiterate that the bike was designed to be very durable and take all the abuse that you CrossFitters are dishing out. But routine maintenance really is a must. The bike does need to be maintained to ensure a smooth and safe operation.